Hello, everyone. My name's Rachel Whitbeck. I am Lynn Whitbeck's, I'm her niece, and I'm also the content director for Petite to Queen. Lynn will be joining us in just a moment, but in the meantime, I would like to tell you about imposter syndrome in sales. I've struggled with imposter syndrome for a lot of my life, ever since I think I entered college. It kind of saps you of everything that you know and everything, and a lot of your motivation and a lot of your, well, confidence, of course. With imposter syndrome, you're convinced that you aren't actually capable of the things that you really are, that you're not good enough to be doing the things that you're doing, and that you can't accomplish all of the goals that you have. Most importantly, it comes with the perception, or the fear rather, that people are going to find out that you're not as good as you think you are, as they think you are rather. They're going to realize that you're an imposter, maybe even a liar, having gotten yourself to the point that you're at. Obviously, this has major damages to your goals, and this is especially true in sales. In sales, you need all the confidence you can get. You need to know what it is that you're selling. You need to believe in what it is that you're selling. You need to have the confidence to address the needs and concerns of your clients and potential clients. And you need to be able to just close that sale and believe that you can. Dealing with imposter syndrome makes sales very, very difficult. It affects your ability to believe that you can. And the worst part is that you're afraid that your client or potential client is going to see through the lie that you think is there and see that you're basically a fraud, and then they won't trust you and they certainly won't buy from you. Imposter syndrome can be very difficult to beat, but we absolutely have ways to do so. Petite to Queen offers an imposter syndrome course, which Lynn will tell you more about towards the end of the show. And we can help you find ways to combat imposter syndrome. One of the ways that I like to combat imposter syndrome is to list all the flaws that I think I have. So if you're in sales, maybe you're shy and you don't have the confidence to talk to your client or potential client. In that case, you might list out that as one of your flaws. But a good thing to do is to look on the flip side of that. So you're shy, so you have a hard time speaking sometimes with people that you don't know. That's okay. Instead, look at the flip side of that. That makes you a really good listener. And being a good listener is very important when it comes to sales. It lets you see and hear exactly what the struggle is and know how to address it. Now, that's just a little bit of a taste of the imposter syndrome course that we have. Luckily, Lynn is here to continue on, and she'll tell you all about our topic today, which is how to leverage affirmations to break free from what's holding you back, things like imposter syndrome. Lynn, take it away.
Oh, hello, Rachel. I think we need to change our settings so that I'm not sure if you can see me or not. I just had a plane fly overhead. And this is one of the great things, I think, with live TV, with sales in general, things can go sideways. And hello, Jesse. It's great to see you. So one of the things that happens when we're in sales, we are continuing along our path of how the sale is going with our client. We've been nurturing that relationship. We've been building that cultivation of the relationship. We've been guiding them to the sale, and we start to do all of our follow-up, and things seem to go sideways. We get ghosted. There's silence. And that's where one of the things that we've been talking about are self-limiting beliefs, how they suddenly tap in and they come to us. And that is one of the most important things about how that occurs. And I want to make sure that we all talk about that because self-limiting beliefs impact us in our sales every single day in so many different ways, because we'll interpret or project something that's going on with the client and we make it personal, make it more about us and from our perspective, not thinking about the client's perspective. And one of the key things about that is when we're looking at that situation is that we consider what's really going on. You know, how are we interpreting that information rather than the information from the actual client in the situation? So let's talk about that in a situation such as following up and you're getting ghosted, because follow-up is one of the most important activities as a salesperson, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur that you need to perform. And let's think about how that impacts us. If you're not in sales and you're in some other kind of career, we're still following up on a regular basis with our peers, with our boss, with vendors, with suppliers, whatever it happens to be. There are projects that are going on, tasks that need to be completed, and follow-up needs to occur. In sales with follow-up, one of the biggest challenges is when we are ghosted. In other words, we're not hearing back from the client. It's like dead air. They're not calling us back. They're not emailing us back. They're not texting us, whatever that communication channel happens to be. It's just radio silence. Well, the beautiful thing about this is I want you to really think when you're in that imposter syndrome or in that self-limiting belief phase in your mind, you can start projecting that, oh, they don't like me. Oh, they're not interested anymore. I did something wrong. You know, they found somebody else to work with. Your mind can just go in all kinds of directions. Oh, you know, this is not going to go through. I'm not going to get this sale. And that's those self-limiting beliefs that you're projecting. What happens is that it's going to really dampen your desire to continue to pursue the sale and to continue to provide value and follow-up. Because here's the thing. When you get that radio silence and that ghosting, the number one overwhelming reason is because they're busy. Okay? Think about this for a minute. I want you to really sit with this. How many of you right now have emails in your inbox that came in yesterday and you didn't respond to? Heck, I've got some that are probably from a week ago that I haven't responded to. I get really busy. I've actually got a task for something that I need to take care of that's sort of been sitting there on the side of my desk, 2 different things that I have yet to do. And here it is. It's been over a week. And so let's reframe. That's where we come in with all of the work that we've been doing and walking through the self-limiting beliefs. That's why I've had you be working on all these exercises, is so that you can take that moment and do the pause. Okay, deep breath, pause. How am I projecting my own self-limiting beliefs onto this situation and onto the client? The most likely scenario is that they're busy and they have received that value that I delivered. And I did inch the sale forward. So now it's time to do the next piece of follow-up at the appropriate cadence. I'm not going to introduce desperation. I'm not going to introduce anger. I'm going to really think about also the emotions that I am presenting to the client. Things get delayed on a regular basis. Things come up. We all have personal and work emergencies. So a project will get slightly delayed. It can also pivot and be reformatted into a different channel, in which case you might have a launch delay, or you have to go back and redo some work because now you have a different alternate vision as to where you're headed. So let's really absorb that, because that's where all this work that we've been doing on self-limiting beliefs really comes in, and that becomes a strength that we can tap into and take this moment and go, okay, so they're not responding. It doesn't mean they haven't received that information, but something else is going on where they haven't been able to respond. And in addition, what's a beautiful thing when we think about this is that now I have the opportunity to provide additional value, to show them that I'm going to be there for the long term, that I'm going to continue to work on their project with them. Even though in this case, we don't have the sale yet, there's still a prospect, but we're going to be working through and forward on how we can deliver service and value that's going to demonstrate what it's going to be like to work with us when they sign that contract and when they move forward. All right, so we're going to reframe our mindset. We're going to go into that positive. We're going to tap into all those strengths that we've worked out. And then we're going to do that. We're going to do exactly that. We're going to deliver that value. And there's so many different ways that you can deliver the value. The number one thing is with sales strategy. And I know we haven't gotten to follow up yet, but it's absolutely critical that we've actually thought through from a strategic positioning our sales strategy and how we will follow up in the sales process. So there's outreach when we're initially connecting with clients and we're making those connections, creating the spark, cultivating the relationship. And then that transitions into follow-up to continue to move the conversation forward. And follow-up occurs at any time after you've had that initial connection with a client. You've had a conversation, you've exchanged emails. Really, that's where follow-up kicks in. And there's a lot of synergy between outreach and follow-up, all right? But follow-up really occurs after you've made that human-to-human connection. And now as we go through the sales process, and perhaps you've had a strategic session, you've made a presentation, you're going to continue to do the follow-up to move them to that next point where you guide them to a decision and they've decided to move forward with you. Here's a kicker. Spoiler alert. You know what? You're going to still have to follow up. In many cases, there's work to be done in the sense of payment. There could be a contract, there could be negotiation, there could be an implementation plan, a start date. What's the kickoff going to look like? There could be all kinds of different things depending on your product or service. And those still will require follow-up to get all your I's dotted and the T's crossed so you can move forward and then implement whatever your product or solution is for your client. Now, guess what? There's still going to be follow-up because you're going to be checking in with them. And this is at a time when follow-up sort of starts to transition into nurturing. But you're nurturing that client, giving them updates as to the status, where you're at, what's occurring, constantly giving them the type of communication that they need without being over communicating. It's sort of hard to over communicate, but you want to be communicating clearly and concisely so that they can, in a quick glance, they can receive an email or a voicemail and they have the exact nuggets that they need that they can absorb in 10 to 30 seconds. And they know everything's on track. It's going great. It's out of their mind. But you've just given them that reassurance and that ability for them to feel really confident that the entire project is going well. The service that you're delivering is going great. Whatever the product delivery is on track. So that follow-up, it continues to occur. Then you're going to have meetings with that client as you nurture them. You're going to have meetings as to the status and progress reports. You're going to have quarterly business reviews, especially in a B2B environment. This is an incredibly valuable tool that you should be leveraging. It requires follow-up because you're going to need to make sure that all the schedules are set, that you're reminding about the meeting, that you have the materials available so that they're ready to come and get that progress report so you can move forward with the new initiatives and new business and warm introductions and referrals, a testimonial, a review, all the things that are going to then come back around and help you in your sales to do more, to create more leads that will be warmer, and they're going to go through your sales process much quicker because they've had that warm introduction or referral, or they watched that testimonial and then read that review. How many of us have made decisions based on some reviews that we've seen and skimming them and scanning them and go, oh, okay, yeah, this sounds great. Let's do that. Now, granted, it may be a choice about which restaurant to go to, but they still matter and they all fill in. So follow-up is such a key part and such an important part, and our self-limiting beliefs can directly derail our follow-up anywhere in the sales process. Okay. So I'm going to share a story about a situation that had come up recently. And the client was just literally tearing her hair out because she hadn't received a response back from the client. And as a result, it's like desperation was setting in because she really wanted to close this sale. She knew she had an incredibly great solution for them. They'd had such a fantastic meeting. She knows that she can serve and help them and create real impact for this business. So that was that moment where, okay, wait a minute. Let's take this step back. What's going on? What's causing this desperation to creep in? What is really happening? And that's where the introspection exercises help ground you and help you reevaluate what's really happening. So that then from that, she could reframe where she was at and how she was presenting herself to the client. Because you know what? Desperation never sells. So once she had been able to go through that, we walked through that scenario, we worked on it. She felt completely regenerate. She was ready to go, and she had reframed her mindset. And really, instead of projecting, now she was ready to present and to really absorb where they were at and what type of information they needed to hear and what mattered to them. Why would moving forward with the program make a difference and have an impact for them right now? You know, what was it going to look like for them in 30 days or 60 days from now? And then reframe how she did her follow-up. And that's the beautiful thing, is these exercises help you in that moment. And for many of you, when you've gone through and done the work, it's going to be very fast because you can catch yourself in that moment and go, okay, wait a minute. Deep breath. Let me pause. Am I projecting? Is my own self-limiting beliefs getting in my own way? What's really happening with the client? What do they want, need, or lack? Why does it matter to them? What problem is this solving? What area of concern is it addressing? Why does it matter to them so they can? So they can what? And let's reframe. Remember, they're busy. And now let's go ahead and work through our follow-up. And these are the strategies we're going to be working on, how to develop your really rockin' follow-up process so that you have templates, you have pieces that you can pull from, and you go, well, this client, these are their core pain points. These are the conversations we've had. This is the information they've provided. So now I know which piece to pull from and to put forward so that I can deliver value and move the conversation forward. And here's the thing I want to tell you about, because this happened to me. I'd had a great conversation with a major corporation on a program. They had been responsive on email and they went dark. I mean, we're talking the ghosting of all ghosting. It was crickets. I heard nothing. And yet I knew we'd had really phenomenal conversations. I could truly help and serve them. They needed what we had. It would make a huge impact for their business. You know, so that whole, what do they want, need, or lack? What problem is it going to solve? Or problems in this case? What area of concerns was it going to address? Why did it matter to them? What was in it for them? So they can what? And I went through that and I went, you know what? I'm going to deliver the next piece of follow-up value and move that conversation forward as to what were their pain points, have they told me, and how can I take my templates and customize it for this client. And I followed through on my cadence. and on a B2B level, that's pretty much more of a week to week or every 2 weeks cadence that I'm following up. I'm delivering value. I'm moving the conversation forward. I'm giving them some facts and figures. I'm giving some data. I'm addressing the areas of concern that they gave to me. It's what they need, what their information that's important to them. And as I worked through that and I went to that level, I just kept moving forward because I knew that I could be a real service to them. I could create a real impact for that company. And at my cadence number 12, step number 12 of my follow-up, I send an invitation for a meeting, for a lunch meeting. Now, this is back in the day where I would literally have to jump on a plane to meet with this large corporate client in a different state, but I would still do that. That was my next step, is to schedule a lunch meeting. Today, with where we're at, you can still do that, but you send the lunch meeting invite along with an Uber Eats or a Grubhub coupon so that you can virtually eat together, and you can, because people still have to eat. And you know what? My prospect, who became a client, by the way, accepted that invitation. They accepted that lunch invitation. And in fact, this has worked over and over again. When I have consistently delivered value and I get to that level 12, one of two things happens. They either accept it, well, I should say one of three things. They accept it, they tell me they need an alternate date, and if they give that to me, then I'll move heaven and earth to adjust my schedule to make that happen, if at all possible. And if not, then I give them a choice of 2 different dates so we can get this nailed. And the third thing is sometimes we finally get to the crux that person, something else is going on. I've had people tell me, well, I'm leaving my position. I'll be retiring at the end of the month. Somebody new is going to be coming on board. I'm going to be providing you with an introduction. Why don't we instead schedule a meeting for that? I literally had that happen. I've had people just say, you know what, as we've gone through, this is just simply not something that we're going to be able to do at this time. Will you check back in with me in 3 months or 6 months or next year? Now, here's the thing. When someone does that, do what they ask. All right. There are times where the timing is just not right. But in most cases, the individuals would accept that lunch meeting. In this case, they did accept that lunch meeting. I flew to Boise for this meeting. We had a 3-hour lunch. And you know what he said? He said, all of the follow-up, all the email, you kept giving me information that I needed, and I wanted to respond. There's so much going on. I just couldn't get to it. And I want to thank you for continuing to send me the emails and the information. He said, you added so much value. And when you sent the lunch invitation, I went, you know what? Let's do this. I need to eat, and I need to get back together with her so we can move this forward. And in that 3 hours we did. So that's the thing about follow-up. Certainly in most situations, very few clients are ready to purchase right in the moment. They say that maybe 20% of the people are ready to buy right in that moment. And I'm not even sure it's that high. And certainly depending on what your product or service is, and in the B2B world, that may not even be close to 20%. Most people are going to require follow-up, all right? Because you don't want to leave 80% of your business on the table because you have not followed up. And when you've done the introspective work that we've been going through, you're going to be so much easier and so much more effective to do the follow-up because you can get out of your own way. And you're going, it's not me. They're busy. I need to follow up. I need to deliver value. I need to show them what it's going to be like to work with me because I'm really good at this. I'm going to create real impact for them, and they need to be working with me. So I'm going to stay on it. And when you do that, now you can capture that 80% of that business. And maybe you won't catch your 80% of it, but you're going to capture a whole heck of a lot more of fantastic relationships that will serve you and will deliver to you those, at the end of the day, the really golden piece, which is the those relationships, the warm referrals, the introductions, the testimonials, and the ability to do more and more business with them. So this is why we've been going through all of these exercises for introspection, because they're that important. And in sales, it's more important than ever, ladies, because so many of us, especially as women, we will feel that it's something, we'll take it personally. We just do. We have this sort of concept, well, sales is sleazy. I don't want to be manipulative. I don't want to be hounding someone. I mean, all these things. Well, we're projecting once again, and we're also projecting the things that literally we've been socialized to think about. Ladies, it's like, let's be quiet. Let's be polite. Let's sit in the back seat. When you're helping a client and you're going to create real impact in the world, you got to speak up. You got to own how incredible you are. And you need to guide the client to the decision, because this is going to create such impact for them personally, for their business, for their community, that it really matters. And when you go through these introspection exercises, you're going to be able to see that other flip side. You know what? I am really good at this, and they need to be working with me because of what I can do for them. And what beautiful magic we're going to be able to create. So now that we've talked about how important introspection is, and we've touched on some aspects of follow-up, I want everyone to go back and look at those exercises and the episodes that we've just recorded on introspection and why they're so important. And I'm going to talk about this one more time next week, because I've now sort of clued you in as to why does this matter to you? What's in it for you? What's in it for you is that you're going to be so much more effective, and you're going to be able to close more sales. You're going to get more clients. That's why we've been doing this. And I want to be so grateful to Rachel for opening the show as I was having all those technical difficulties. How many of us have not had things go sideways on us? And I am apologize for all my background noise. You can hear all kinds of things. I had to go out on my deck and pull in a new computer. But that's what's great about being in the moment and having that strength of going, okay, I'm not afraid to show up. I'm not afraid to say, stuff went sideways, because it happens. All right. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today on Get More Clients. I'm Lynn Whitbeck, and we are here so you can get more clients. And at any time, you can connect with us at petitetoqueen.com. You can join our weekly Wisdoms newsletter. We have so many resources on the website. We have free masterclasses. We have articles, webinars, all kinds of stuff that are going to move you forward in your business, in your life, in your career, and certainly in your sales. So I want to be very grateful for everyone who came today, and thank you for tuning in to Get More Clients on the Win-Win Women Network. And next week, we're going to go in and we're going to go through the introspection and really dive into a core part that's going to move you forward to help you get more clients. All right, see you next week.